Hey YouTube, petey twofinger here. I had commented on the people getting sick vaping, um, and I figured I would make a uh, follow-up video on that. And it kind of went out of my mind, so I looked it up tonight, and it turns out it's black market marijuana vape cartridges. So people are extracting THC, the chemical that gets you high, out of marijuana and figuring out a way to mix that with some um, cutting chemicals and putting that in a cartridge that you put attached to a vape. So you could vape this weed oil and then that would get you high. Now, you can purchase this same product legally at a marijuana dispensary. It's not cheap. It's very expensive. You'd be better off just smoking pot than what you would pay for a vape cartridge. It's just very convenient, I would imagine, and there's no smoke, so you have all kinds of benefits. But in this case, people are manufacturing this stuff and selling it as a black market product. I know a guy, a friend of a friend. Well, he was my friend for a couple of years. I was friends with this guy, guitar player that's no longer really around. He lives in another state, and I heard through the grapevine that that's what he was, how he was making a living was through dealing vape carts. And that's why these people were getting lung disease and dying. The all of the people who died were from states where marijuana is illegal. So there was no legal way for them to buy a, and what a hipper way, like a young kid, they would be able to smoke that pot, vape it in their bedroom because it's vapor. It's, you blow that into a pillow and it's not going to have any substantial smell. Where if you are burning the leaf and you're smoking it, you're going to have all that carbon and leftover stuff to deal with the odor, and immediately your parents are going to know. So this is really evil, really bad news. I'm guessing it's people using uh, like these is like bathtub chemistry set type of thing where they run out of the expensive cutting agents, so instead they just put some mineral oil in it, and you can't vape mineral oil. You get lung disease if you vape it. So the why this hasn't come out, like we have the CDC, the FDA, these people that we live in this country and we're supposed to be protected. They sell vape stuff here, and the news is constantly showing products like Juul or blue cigs, like regular old e-cigs, saying people are vaping and dying. News at 11. You know, is your dog barking? It'll be like some scare story, and then here's the the dog that barked too many times, and they won the contest for the loudest bark. Some kind of feel good story with a shocker thing, but they never came back around and let everyone know, hey, don't worry about vaping, because I don't smoke because of vaping, and that's a miracle. If you knew me and you knew my love affair with cigarettes, smoking, you know that I was a lifer, and it's amazing that I don't smoke. Go back and watch my old videos. There isn't. If you go back to a few years ago, every video I got a cigarette in my hand. Uh, so fear not, you're able to vape as long as you're buying, I mean, better yet, make your own e-liquid. That's what I did. There was an Italian doctor that did a study with people who never smoked, but they were vapors. And they vaped for 3.5 years, and he checked everything. And at the end of the 3.5 years, there was nothing. None of them had any issues. They were all stable. Everything was fine. And I think that's what they're going to find with that vaping. Is if there is any illness with it, it's really going to be a very rare thing. It would be like popcorn lung, like if you were vaping. There are certain ingredients that you can't put in there. They found that people that worked in the microwave popcorn factory, this chemical that they put on there to make it the artificial butter, that it's fine to eat it, but if you inhale it, it goes in your lungs. It causes a horrible respiratory failure. So that's what they're going to find with that stuff. Is if there are any people that get sick from it, it's not going to be from the VG or the PG or the Nick. It's going to be shit in the flavorings. So if you really wanted to continue vaping and you were concerned about your health, what I would recommend you do is find a vape fluid that doesn't have any flavoring, or make your own. That's what I did. I read up on how to make it. I ordered my own nicotine, which was not cheap, and then the VG and the PG, and we had software that we used to help us with the ratios, how to mix the recipes, excuse me. And then I used all kinds of stuff for making it. It was like syringes, small syringes for the flavoring, because you're using minute amounts of flavoring. So you would draw that up into a syringe per milliliter, you know. And same thing, pretty much larger, big syringes for the other stuff, and then I would mix it in a magnetic stir plate, and then I would run it in a crock pot. I would heat it to give it the effect of like really mixing it together and aging it. And I got good at it. I was making wonderful e-liquid and then lowering the nicotine slowly, so I didn't really ever feel that shock of withdrawal, and I don't miss it. You know, when I watch stuff about people vaping, it's like it kind of comes back to me, but it's not that thing when I was smoking and I quit smoking, where it was like I had to have it, you know. So yeah, this is a really weird story. I'm going to be looking more into it. Of course, I I kept saying it's got to be weed. It's got to be black market weed vape cartridges, and that's kind of what's come out. Although it's not in the mainstream, you have to go looking for it. So if you're really interested in that and you can't find anything, um, the channel that I found the video is called Vaping Lung Disease Outbreak, The Truth. And that's Tristan Pope, the Tristan Pope channel. And I saw it on another young guy's channel. He was talking about this, and it didn't surprise me. I mean, I had kind of figured that out. That's what it's got to be. It was either one of two things that, like in China, sometimes they'll send over a batch of like dog food that's got lead in it, or just something really bad, like toothpaste, but they used some kind of carcinogen because it was cheaper, or who knows why. Either thought it was one of those things where China had some bad PG or VG that went out of the country, and then they were making the e-liquid with it, and they didn't know that it had some horrible chemical in it. Or the other thing would be that it was black market marijuana vape cartridges that people were making, whether they knew or not. They were using bunk ingredients or some kind of whatever it was. It's not the VG or the PG or the THC that's getting people sick. It's something else, a cutting agent, a thickening agent, some goofy chemical that they're putting in there. And I believe that's the case. Why we're not being informed, why the FDA and the Center for Disease Control isn't letting us know this information is unbelievably frustrating to me. I mean, I get that they're like pushing weed now, and that's a whole weird thing too. Why they're doing that? It was me coming up, like and then all of a sudden the way it's changed, and now it's like, and I don't care about weed anymore. All right, you guys, I'll let you go. I hate to say I told you so, but I had that one figured out. It had to be. It had to be those weed cartridges. Anyway, I got nothing to worry about. You probably don't either. But if you run into any of that stuff, just say no. Just smoke the weed. You don't need to vape the oil. Weed is strong enough on its own, right? All right, you guys. Peace.